Good morning, everyone, and whether it be afternoon or evening, I appreciate the time you've taken to come to our WebEx. I am Darlene Connelly, and I am going to present Getting to ENS 10.5. This has been on a lot of people's minds as we move forward to our new platform, and I have two new tools that I'd like to present to you. So with that, it's at the top of the hour. Let's begin. So our existing customer migration from VSE to ENS 10.5 has a lot of questions involved as to whether we want to migrate our policies or not migrate our policies. So we're going to begin with our policy migration tool. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that our policy migration from VSE 8.8 to ENS 10.5 is not a forklift. And what this means is we understand that all of our customers have concerns about upgrading and costs involved in the upgrade, but this is an incremental upgrade. This upgrade is a transparent upgrade from 8.8 10.5 with no cost involved. And also we have many tools available to help our customers migrate with ease and as well as our professional services. But I would like to show you two very effective tools to help you in your transition to our new 10.5 platform. We have an Endpoint Migration Assistant. Once you download our Endpoint 10.5 series, and 10.5.1 is current, 10.5.2 will soon be released, you will need to think about migrating your policies. There are two paths that you can take for migration. One is an automated migration and the other is a manual migration. And it's very important to understand which way is best for your company to go to be successful. Our automated migration you can do in several different ways, but it will take everything and migrate it and apply it to your system tree, and you're done. But the manual migration you can be more granular with, and you can use your configurations as you need them to be brought over, and you will be able to migrate in a very, very controlled fashion. So which way is actually better for you? And the question to that and the answers are in how this works. And we're going to actually go through the tool, and I'm going to show you how it works so that you can make some very defined decisions on what your actual needs would be. So the Endpoint Migration tool, where do you begin? Well, on your main menu in the EPO, you're going to find your policies. And under Policies at the very end, after you have downloaded your ENS 10.5 series from your software manager, you're going to find your Endpoint Migration Assistant. And please note, just above it, that your firewall catalog lives right there. And we're going to discuss the firewall catalog as well during our migration tour of the Endpoint Assistant tool. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So when you open up the migration tool, this is what you're going to see. Understand that everything on the left side of the screen is going to be tutorial for you, and it's going to walk you through the different types of migrations that you have. You also have hyperlinks to anything in the Knowledge Center and our migration help that you can have. We're going to start with the automated migration. Automated migration is very simple. You simply check automated, and there are two processes you can follow. You can do the entire tree and have everything imported into your tree after it has migrated, or you can do it granularly, and I will show you that process. But you can also do your 8.8 settings. You can take your workstations, your servers, or you can do both servers and workstations. So what does that look like? You can do the entire tree, or you can take a single tree. If you want to do a single part of your system tree for testing or for control, you would simply choose the menu that says Automated Migration, migrate your system tree, decide which ones you want to do, the workstations or the servers or both, and it will take you literally to your system tree. Here, you can take each and every node individually. You can select nodes to do, and you have full control. Also, if you notice, it will tell you if there's been previous migrations done, as in this case, none have been done. Once you choose that, you click OK, and it's done. The better way and the more recommended way at this point to do this is doing the manual migration. And the manual migration is a little more complicated in steps, but not in performance. And the reason is our new AMCore is built to manage a lot of your high-risk, low-risk policies now. Therefore, you don't need to migrate all of your exclusions. When you get into this, you can actually pick and choose which ones you want and simply migrate them over using manual. The only difference being you will have to manually apply them to the system tree as the exact position of where your VSE 8.8 policies live. But the one that's the biggest one, and the one that's the most concerning to everyone, that is the host, IPS. The HIPS is the one that everyone needs to concentrate on, but it is not as difficult as it seems. Our new ENS runs on 4 modules, and these policies are going to migrate and live within 2 of these. So you will pick manual to do your HIPS, and you're going to see a screen that looks like this, and it's going to say you want to migrate your firewall policy catalog first. And remember, I referenced that back on the main menu. You want to do your firewall catalog first because it's going to ride on your policies once they migrate. And all you simply do is click the Save button, and it will make the changes to your migration. And then you're going to go back, and you're going to get started on your manual migration. So for the HIPS policies in particular, you want to choose manual migration and policies. And there's 3 different ways you can handle this. You can actually, this is where it's going to take you, and this looks exactly like the build that you would see in VSE 8. You would choose Host Intrusion Protection on the left, and if you want to migrate them independently, you would choose the top one. In the top one, you're going to get your client UI, your DNS blocking, your firewall options, your trusted applications, and your trusted networks. On the right side, you're going to drop those down, and you're going to choose the ones you want to migrate, and you're going to click OK. If you have several rules that need migrated, you just simply repeat this process until you have all the ones selected you want. The second one that you would do is the IPS protection and the IPS rules, and these are very important to everyone who writes their own. This will also bring in your access protection policies and your buffer overflow policies automatically when you click the IPS protection, because these 2 are married when they migrate. So these 2 go hand in hand under the VSE 8.8 under access protection and buffer overflow. You choose your policies again, and you select OK. The third option is you can just choose everything under host IPS, choose your policies at one shot, take everything you need, and click OK, and everything will migrate. Then you must go in and apply it to the system tree policies as VSE 8.8 is applied. Also, when migrating your policies, your VSE 8.8s, there are 11 policies, also need migrated. But be very careful here, because you will want to pick and choose the ones you want that are selected to applications. You do not need to migrate all of your policies over to ENS, especially for workstations. For workstations, you want to use as few as possible, because our new AMCore engine is going to drive the high risk and low risk, and McAfee is actually going to manage a lot of your exclusions for you. As well, we have trusted, known, good applications now, and such as Microsoft or Citrix, and if our product picks it up on the workstations and servers, it's going to add it as a certificate exclusion now. so you're not going to need as many policies. The best practice here is test. Bring in a portion of your system tree, test your policies, and in this case, less is better. Moving forward in ENS, the less you can manage, the better. So you're going to get into all of that and you're going to configure all of your policies the way you want them. Don't forget about your client tasks. Again, your client tasks do not have to be hand done in ENS to bring them over. You can simply use the Endpoint Migration Assistant tool and click on client tasks and create them. And the ones that are critical to bring over are, of course, your workstation scans, your server scans, and your memory scans. And they will create the task right here in the tool, and you're done. You don't have to worry about having to recreate them under the new ENS 10. So host intrusion protection is the biggest thought on most people's mind who run this. And the beauty of going to ENS 10 is you no longer have to have a second application on your devices, on your workstations, or your servers. You can uninstall HIPS and integrate it into the new ENS 10. You will find these policies that have been migrated in two modules that reside in ENS 10. You're going to find your intrusion prevention in your threat protection, and all your firewall rules are going to be migrated over to the firewall module. Very easy to manage, and the complexity has been removed for you, and you can remove the HIPS products from your environment and just simply run everything on ENS 10.5. But the big question of the day is, where do your policies go? It's confusing to think that you have 11 VSE policies and they're going to be in 4 modules. So I've included paths to these. Your Endpoint Security 10.5 is going to have a common, a threat prevention, a firewall, and a web control. Those are the 4 modules you're going to be working in. You can install all of them or none of them. The common one is the only one you have to absolutely install. But your legacy products are all going to migrate to these 4 modules. So your VSE 8.8, your HIPS rules, your IPS, your host intrusion firewall in general, Site Advisor is now included, your Macs and your Linux will all be housed within these 4 common modules to manage. So much easier. You're going to absolutely love this. And the way the screens are written, it's going to be very easy to find these within these modules. And the new legacy products to ENS 10, these are your host intrusions. This is HIPS. You're going to find your firewall rules, your firewall options, and your DNS in your firewall policies under the category of rules. And your trusted applications, your trusted networks, and your client UIs are going to go in options. And this is really a nice feature that we've combined all these down into these 2 manageable features. Your firewall policies are going to also be able to be viewed in your firewall catalog on your main menu. So you have a correlation between the 2, and it's going to be very easy to see what is applied, what's turned on, and what is not. So in the end, all of your new legacy products that we've struggled with in VSE 8.8, and I managed McAfee for over 18 years, so I understand these processes. You've got the high risk, the low risk, the general, the default, and you have to remember where all of these things go, and you don't have to do that anymore. You're going to find under threat prevention policies an on access that has all of this information and migrated information and an options. And these will be made available to you. So these are a good reference guide as to where you find all of these within the new ENS modules. So once you've done that, the next steps are, how do I migrate? How do I get to ENS 10? Okay, I have my policies in place. I've applied them to the system tree, but what now? Do I have to do the client tasks and sort out my trees? Well, no. McAfee has put together this amazing tool. It's called Endpoint Upgrade Assistant, and it is truly your assistant. It's going to help you get through your upgrades understand where your systems are at, understand your hardware constraints, and get you there with minimal effort. And I'd like to walk you through this product now and show you exactly how it works. So our Endpoint Upgrade Assistant is now integrated with all of these products, and they all reside on a minimum version that you have to be at to move forward. So when you implement this Endpoint Upgrade Assistant, it's going to analyze everything that's on this list and tell you where your systems are at, where you need to be, and I'm going to tell you how to get there. So for the Endpoint Assistant, the takeaways for it is it helps you plan, simplify, and speed migrations. And what that is we're going to give you the tools to analyze your environment, we're going to identify your compatibility, and we're going to tag the systems for upgrade. And then we're going to do a safe upgrade steps. You're going to have everything you need to do this at your fingertips through our knowledge bases. And now you can automatically create the update tasks and do it through this tool. But again, where do you begin? It's very simple. You're going to check in your software through your software manager. And you'll notice that I'm pointing to 1.3, but I'm going to be previewing for you today 1.4. 1.4 will be out in the next couple of weeks. All you have to do to get 1.4 is check your software manager. It will show up when it's ready. It's going to be released with our ENS.2, and you will be able to download it. Now, when you download it, it's very critical to understand that there's no impact to your EPO or your endpoints. This is simply an extension, and you check in the extension just as you would any other package. You check in the extension, and it's ready. It does not do any calls to any of your devices. It simply refers and references back your SQL database. So this can be done seamlessly and quietly without any obstruction to any of your other applications that are in. So where does it go? So once your extension is checked in, which should take you about 30 seconds, you're going to open your main menu, and you're going to find now you have an Upgrade Assistant. When you check on that, you're going to get a screen that looks like this. It's going to default to 10.5.2. 10.5.2 will be available when this comes out, but if you want 10.5 or 10.51, you can also do the drop down on here. And you select what version you are interested in upgrading to. And the second part is the check mark, and it says all systems and analyze. Well, what the all systems is your system tree. Here you can become very granular on what you want to analyze, what you want to target. So if you have a test environment or a dev environment sitting out there, you simply check that one, and that's the only thing that's going to get analyzed. If you want to do your entire system, you check everything, and it will analyze. It pulls from the last known good data off of your SQL server that the agent has called. So when your agent is set to do an agent-to-server communication every 5 minutes to 30 minutes or 60 minutes, your last known good data is what's being read from your analyzed environment, so there is no impact to any of your environment. And that's very critical to know so that you know there's no latency on your network when this is being implemented. And now the new Upgrade Assistant is in two parts. You will see the left-hand side is a tutorial to get you through, and it's going to be there for you that if you need assistance, all you do is click on the tutorial and the video will come up to help you guide you. But also, if you notice, there's an Upgrade Your Operating System at the very bottom on the left, and it's called Check McAfee Product Compatibility. This is a nice little thing as well, because now you'll see the screen changes, and you have a McAfee product compatibility screen, and you can now check to see what Windows 10 versions are supported and what Windows 16 are supported, and you can analyze the system at the same way doing the product compatibility as you can do the application compatibility. So there are 4 pieces to the product, and we're going to start with the overview. But this is what it looks like. When you've analyzed your system, it's going to come back with results for you. And it's overview, prepare, upgrade, and track. Everything to upgrade is right here at your fingertips in this program. And your overview is going to give you a nice little toolbar that will tell you what's ready to upgrade, what needs upgraded, and blocked from upgrading. And I will dwell on that a little bit, blocked from upgrading, so that you can understand that it even pulls in that data for you. Hyperlinks to everything. Anything you need to know or questions you have are right there in hyperlinks on the right-hand side. So under Overview, this is what it's going to look like. Anything that's in your system and applications that are running, it's going to analyze and give you results. And it's going to give you minimum required versions, current versions, how many systems. But the nice thing about this is your KBs are embedded up in the upper right-hand corner of each box, and that will take you to the KB as to what you need information for upgrading and the compatibility of it. But also, you can also keep the versions of McAfee Agent that are compatible, which is 5.2 and above, simply by checking the box. And the McAfee Data Loss Prevention, you can also keep the compatible version. But know that the recommended way is to move to the 10.0 version of McAfee, because that's the latest, greatest. But you can absolutely keep the minimum version without it being part of an automated upgrade simply by checking these boxes. So this is a very controlled way of seeing where you're at, seeing where you need to be. And you can tag your systems as well. And when you tag your systems, especially on the data loss prevention, it's going to tell you you've tagged your systems, and all the descriptive tags are customizable. You can put anything you need to in there to identify this as a tag in your system. But it's also going to tell you that a restart is required. And you can get very granular on your tags to say only tag the workstations and only tag the servers. But be aware, you're going to need a restart if you go to 10.x. If you go to McAfee DLP 11, you do not need a restart. But at this point in our workflow, and you're going to need a restart if you're going to upgrade the data loss along with the automated series. And at the last part of the overview is blocked from upgrade. And this is a really, really good piece, because you're going to be able to tag your unmanaged systems. You're going to have incompatible systems. And this is going to tell you if you've got memory issues, or if your hard drive is full, or if the hardware is going to fail on you. This is going to put you in a position to have a very, very successful upgrade without a lot of failures for IT to have to chase down. And you'll be able to see these compatible systems as you run these queries. And then your currently excluded systems that are not yet supported by Endpoint Upgrade will also be listed, but those will be coming in future upgrades, so not to worry. So when you tag a system for unmanaged, it's going to allow you, again, to use a descriptive tag to identify your systems, and it's going to allow you to tag them so that you can upgrade them or check on them or replace your hardware or check into the memory leak you might have or whatever it is, and then you can reanalyze your system and put them back into upgrade status. The next part of this is prepare. So we've already gone through as to what you need, and this is our prepare stage. And it's going to tell you, the first part, whether you're good on your policies or whether you're not good on your policies. This goes hand in hand with your policy migration tool. And right now it's telling me I have not migrated my policies. I am not seeing anything on the system tree that has ENS associated with it. When you migrate policies and you have a legacy default policy, it's still going to create you're going to use the legacy ENS policy. So it's going to know if it's there, and it's going to tell you that the data loss prevention has not been converted either, and it'll give you the KB on how to get there. So this is a checks and balances within our Upgrade Assistant, so that you don't end up upgrading and not having the correct policies in place and having just legacies. And so the bottom part of Prepare is just a nice little visual to tell you exactly the required version, what you need, the version checked into your current branch, and extensions required, yes or no. And the nice part about this is you can view each and every branch. So if you drop your current down, you're going to see your previous and you're going to see your evaluation branches as well. And all you simply do is click the client package branch to reload your information, and it will repopulate using the branches there. You can also, again, keep the existing agent that's compatible, which is 5.02, and you can keep the versions of data loss prevention that are compatible and continue along the path of doing the automated upgrades. And this is where we're going to do all of our work. It's just within this program, and it's going to handle both automated and manual upgrades, and it's the third tab on the program. And the nice part about this is it's going to show you exactly what you've tagged as known good and that you want to upgrade, but there's also a nice nifty little hyperlink up here called View Upgrade History. And the upgrade history will look like this, and it will give you your paths you have taken and be able to do reporting on your history to know where you are at in the cycle of upgrading. So moving on to the upgrades, there are two pieces of this. You can do an automatic upgrade and you can do a manual upgrade. You no longer have to go to the system tree, tag things, sort things out, create tasks, deploy tasks, set them up. You can do them all directly from this program. So we're going to concentrate first on our upgrade path of automation. And we're going to tag all of the ones that have passed all through the planning stages and ready to be upgraded. We're going to say we're going to do our workstations or our servers. We're going to give it a name, and we're going to click OK. It's going to come back to this particular screen, and you're simply going to click on Create Deployment Task. The deployment task is going to come up, and it's going to give you, again, checks and balances so that you can't make a mistake here. You can run immediately, daily, or however you want to set it up. You can set your start date, any date out from the current day you're doing this, out as far as you need to go, and your start time. You can also, again, target your workstations and servers. But the branch is important here. You can pick the branch you want to deploy from, whether you want to do current, previous, or eval. And that's important so that you make sure you click the branch where your application is living at that time. And it goes back again to say you can keep your host intrusion if you don't want to uninstall it. You do not have to upgrade the McAfee agent as long as you're at the minimum, and you do not have to upgrade the McAfee data loss. And then the policy migration says, I acknowledge that I have completed migration of legacy custom policies and clients. And if not, I understand McAfee default policy settings will be enforced. So you have to check that to acknowledge the fact that your policies are indeed in place, or that you understand the default ones will be the ones that will be applied. And at the top, you simply click Save, and it will tell you this is what you have decided to do. You're going to use the automatic upgrade, how many systems are affected, and click OK. But if you don't want to use automatic upgrade, up in the right-hand corner, there's using automatic upgrade or manual, and you just click that hyperlink, and it will take you to the same page, but this is the manual page. In the manual page, you will be able to go down and tag your systems according to application. You can do your agent, you can do your virus scan, you can do your DLP, and you'll be able to tag those systems accordingly. So you create the tags for the one that you want to do, and it's going to say, I'm going to upgrade to Endpoint Security if workstations or servers. Things were successfully tagged, but now you take a different path. You're going to go back to your main menu at your convenience as to when you want to do this. If you have change controls you have to have in place, if there are approval processes you have to do, this is the manual deployment using the same product. You simply choose product deployment. And it's going to call up the product deployment stage. And this is, you're going to click on New. When you get there, you'll see a new tab at the top, and this is what will come up. And we're going to do the agent this time. So just the agent is going to be affected. You're going to click continuous or fixed. Is it going to be a one-time or not? You can also auto-update everything to the latest product versions. You're going to pick your package as to what you're going to manually upgrade. And then you're going to select your systems. And here you're going to simply select the tag that you created for this. When you created it and created your packages, select which one you want to deploy, click OK, and it will take you back to your page where you continue down the fact that you want to run once, run immediately, run daily, pick your time, your date, and this page contains randomization. So if you want to create a big deployment and you're worried about a little network latency, click randomization as you would in a task on the system tree, and click Save, and you are good to go. It will bring you back to the deployment page. It will tell you exactly what systems are being affected, and it will tell you the time, the date, the tag, and when you go back to check on it after, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see exactly the status as you would a deployment using the system tree run immediately tags, and it's going to tell you that it's a continuous deployment. It's going to continue to go out there to try to update these, and how many failed, and your successes. So you have the option of using this product, this tool, to do automatic or the manual. And the tracking phase of it is the last one, and it's going to take you to this upgrade data, and it's going to give you just basically the overview of what you've done for automated tasks. The automated deployments that you did will show up here, and it will show up like this, and it will show up exactly as you saw on the automated one. But if you click the View Deployment Task, it's going to take you back to the exact same page that the manual one did. So this completes the entire cycle of being able to use this product to do the entire upgrading and analyzing of your systems. But a new feature is going to really be a good feature, and that's reporting. It's a very robust reporting platform that has been built into this, where you can go out and use these queries to do just about anything to figure out where you've been, where you're going, and how to get there as well. Create, send reports as needed. So this is going to be an excellent tool as well. And the reports are the same as all the rest, where you can customize them using any kind of visual, export them, automate them, and have all of your information at your fingertips. So to summarize, the automated upgrade is actually going to be your safest route to get you to where you need to go. And the reason being is it's going to analyze your systems. You're going to know what's going to break ahead of time and be able to remediate. You're going to know which ones are compatible with the systems that are coming into the ENS 10. And just a brief overview of how you get there is it's going to create an automated upgrade task. And it's going to be very intuitive because it's only going to download the packages if they are needed. It'll call out to the software manager to create the agent upgrade or the ENS, and it's going to remove the VSE and HIPs, no reboot required. It's going to upgrade the MA to DLP10, will require a reboot. It will install the ENS, and it will send all of the completed paths that are taken back to the EPL in the next agent-to-server communication. So the workflow will look like this. This is the experience that you're going to have. You're going to start your automated deployment. It's going to download the packages it needs and only the packages it needs. It's going to also do another verification that there are no conflicts, and it will stop the process at that point if there are, but it's going to verify the agent and the ENS versions. And the important piece of this is it's going to harvest your policies on the local devices. It's going to harvest your policies on your workstations and your servers, just like VSE 8.8 did when you would check the box to do an upgrade from 8.7 to 8.8, or it would say keep existing policies. It's going to do exactly the same thing on your locals. It's going to then remove the 8.8. It's going to upgrade any agent that needs upgraded. It will install the new ENS 10.5, and then on the next agent to server will report into the EPO, and you're finished. Your deployment is finished. And it's going to be a very good experience for everyone to use this product and get to ENS 10 successfully. So my call to action to you, I encourage you to adopt the McAfee Agent 5.06. It's our new latest, greatest that's out. I encourage you to review your policies and migrate only your server policies as needed. Test out your workstations. Make sure that you have fewer policies than VSE. Your AMCOR performance and your ES performance is going to be far superior to what you were seeing with our VSE 8.8. I also encourage you to implement our new tools. Use the Upgrade Assistant. Download the policy migration tool. Play with it. And you'll find that you have two tools at your fingertips that are going to make you very successful in moving to our new product. Both of these products, these two tools, work in conjunction to help you upgrade successfully and seamlessly. And customers can check the migration paths by requesting a tech check from your account manager. Everyone has an executive account manager. Please reach out to them. If you would like a tech check, we can perform check checks on the engineering level. We are happy to do that. We can assess where you are in the process, what your hardware constraints might be, and where you need to be successful. It takes a village to get this cybersecurity bullying under control, and we are your village. We are here to help you. Just reach out to your account managers, and we are more than happy to help you remediate, help you understand, help teach you how to use these tools to get you to ENS 10. I appreciate all of the time you have spent with us today. I thank you for your time away from your busy schedules, and I will open it up to any questions and answers you might have.
So we have a number of questions in chat, and we've been trying to address those as they've come up. We also have a number of people who've raised their hands and would like to ask some questions. I think that's going to be problematic. If we can simply type them into chat, that might be easier, and we can walk through these all.
Yes, please. If you could type them into chat, that would be great.
So let's walk through these real quick. What is the support for BSE-EL? So the policy migration for BSE for Linux. So
the policy migration, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The question.
do not believe the policy migration tool addresses that yet.
It actually does. It will migrate the
Okay.
on-access scanning policy, and it will migrate it into ENS. And ENS is a single extension that is capable of managing your Windows, your Linux, and your Mac boxes. So they should have fairly cogent and concise policy applied to all of your systems.
Thank you, Ken.
So that also covers, is there any migration tool for VSEL? Sorry. So yes, the question is, are you going to speak about performance issues with 10.5.1? And no, we don't have the correct technical people to speak to those issues on this call. This is really about the tools that we were discussing here. So Anthony Lobato, are apps like Exchange, Skype, SharePoint, etc. included in the trusted applications? I don't have the context to understand the question. Did somebody else catch that question? Will we receive a copy of the presentation deck? Yeah, we want to compile all the questions that we're receiving out of chat, make sure that we have the best answers possible. We'll compile those in with the presentation and the video, and those will be posted and made available to the participants.
Absolutely.
When are we going to release ENS 10.5.2? I don't have direct access to their schedule, but last I heard it was to be released in the first half of August. While you have both VSE and ENS endpoints in your environment, you have to keep your policies in sync. Any recommendations on making this easier? VSE and ENS.
Well, the VSE and ENS will write exactly like all of the legacy products. If you had 8.5 to 8.7, 8.7 to 8.8, those devices that are running 8.7 or 8.8 always kept the policies assigned to them. It's very intuitive for our applications to use the correct policy. If the application is there, ENS 10 is there, and your policies are there, they're going to use ENS 10 policies. If the 8.8 is still present in your environment, that is not an issue because they will still continue to use the VSE 8. You're not going to remove any policies during this process. The only time you ever remove your policies is if you are completely free of the application within your environment and you no longer have any devices on it. You are free to remove it out of the repository and your policies. Otherwise, you will leave them live side by side on your system tree. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Okay, and there were some questions about HIPs in here. So either from an ENS installation, or if you're using upgrade automation within Endpoint Upgrade Assistant, you can choose to either keep HIP or to let the new functionality in ENS replace HIP.
Correct.
Those are options available in either way you want to do it. Generally, if you use the migration, and actually if you use any of the tools to migrate that policy, it will still be applied. What am I trying to say? So HIPs breaks up into multiple policy pieces inside of ENS, and those, if you migrate your policies, those will still be migrated across, whether it's done at the local machine during the ENS install, just prior to startup, or if it's using, say, the migration assistant up at EPO. However, if you have chosen to keep HIP, those portions of policy that apply to ENS, those things will stand down and allow HIPs to still manage the firewall and exploit prevention. And now, if you remove HIP, then those two policy pieces will be taken over by ENS, and again, they should have the same policy that was made available to HIP.
Correct. And it's completely up to the customer using the product as to which direction you would like to go. I encourage you to remove HIPs if your policies are all migrated, because then you've only got one tool to one application to manage, and the new ENS 10 manages it just as beautifully as HIPs did, and you don't have that secondary application residing on the endpoints, but it is completely at your discretion.
Okay, the next question is, we're also in the midst of performing the migration from BSE to ENS. My question is, with the assistance from Endpoint Migration Assistant tool, will it remove VSE first and then install ENS, or could we install ENS and it will remove VSE automatically? So two things here. We're conflating the two tools. The Endpoint Migration Assistant tool only does the policy migration at EPO, whereas the Endpoint Upgrade Assistant with upgrade automation can actually implement the upgrade down at the client. Because ENS threat prevention is a direct upgrade over VSE, they cannot coexist on the system at the same time. When there's two aspects to policy migration here. There's EPO and where it's assigned on the system tree and how that gets assigned to the client. And that gets sent down to the client in something called an ASCII. However, when we're first doing the migration, in order to ensure that we are not, when we first start up, we are still honoring the exclusions that have been made so that we don't, say, delete a homegrown application that has been excluded. Both the ENS installer and the upgrade automation from EUA will parse the local VSE and HIP policies. It will persist those to the hard drive. Then it will remove VSE. It will install ENS, telling it where those policy pieces are. And then when ENS first starts up, it will have the same exclusions policy is the primary issue there. And it will retain that locally migrated policy until the first ASCII comes down from EPO, and then that EPO policy will be assigned immediately. Next question. ENS isn't, nope, wrong one. Sorry, I should have tagged these. Okay, what if you have agent handlers in the environment? Will the migration assistant also work on agent handlers? The migration assistant, which is the EPO policy portion, will only migrate policy from Site Advisor, BSE, and HIP. It does not migrate MA policy. However, an MA upgrade on that system should still maintain the same policies and should still be an agent handler. However, neither the migration assistant nor the endpoint upgrade assistant manages or worries about agent handlers.
Correct, and as long as the correct policy is applied on that device, it should be fine.
Right. Next question, and I don't have an answer for this one. Any suggestions for upgrading while migrating to a new EPO server?
So if you're migrating to a new EPO server, you have two options. You can either migrate in place on your old server and just simply transfer your devices to your new server, or you can transfer to your new server and migrate. I would not migrate to a new server and be in the middle of an upgrade. I would upgrade on either end of it and then do your transfer over to your new servers. You want to make sure that either which way you do it, you want your policies to be mirrored exactly on both servers so that when you move to your new one, you are in a good position to just do your transfer using your transfer task to check into your new server. That's a whole issue where it's a process to marry the keys between the two servers so they talk to each other, but I would not mix upgrading with migrating. Stand up the new server and upgrade, or upgrade and then move over. I hope that makes it clear, but there's all kind of documentation around that. You can feel free to reach out to me and I can send it to you.
Okay, thank you. Next question, is it still possible for me to manually move the policies without using these tools, or will it block me from upgrading if I don't use these tools? Yeah, these tools are simply designed to make your life easier. They are in no way, shape, or form required. The standard EPO workflow will still work fine, so feel free to do it either way.
I encourage you to use the Endpoint Upgrade Assistant, though, to at least analyze your system, because one of the biggest challenges as IT is to figure out which devices are actually problematic in your environment. And by that I mean, how many times have we deployed something and it's broken because the hard drive is out of space, or there's a memory leak, or there's not enough memory at all to even do it properly. You can use that tool to analyze at least minimum of versions and hardware to make you successful, but you can still use the regular EPO tasks and tagging and deployment just as we've always done.
And the EUA extension does not make any changes to the EPO database. It simply displays the data, so it can be added and removed without fear of making any changes to your database. And I know there's a lot of change control that has to happen at the larger enterprises, so that might relieve some concerns.
Absolutely. And I have successfully deleted the extension and reinstalled it just to prove that theory, and it is totally transparent. Any other questions?
Yeah, there are. I'm just trying to find them all. I don't want to miss any, so I'm taking my time going through the chat window.
I'll take the moment to thank Ken Howard, who's one of our developers, to be my panelist, and to one of our panelists who has been in the background working with me. I really appreciate all the effort that went into this, and appreciate your efforts to help us make this successful.
Okay, next
question. Sorry, Brad.
Product deployment task in EPO 5.1 freezes when we have over 300 machines tagged. Is this the same in EPO 5.9? Well, I don't think we don't. First of all, we don't have any EPO experts on the panel as far as I'm aware of, and I am tangentially aware of this issue, and I believe it has been fixed, but I cannot promise that, and I would strongly recommend that you work with your SAM, your SE, or with support to determine the status of that issue. Does migration remove SAE? The installation of ENS will replace Site Advisor Enterprise with the web control module. It's newer and more updated, and it has more capabilities. So the actual migration, the actual installation of ENS will remove SAE if web control is being deployed to the system.
Correct. and you will love the new web control module. It is far more encompassing and very easy to manage.
So there's a question on the best way to deploy ENS for VPN machines. And there's a statement, when the ENS firewall component gets installed, it breaks their VPN connection, therefore failing to download the other components. Should we create an EEDK for ENS for those machines? So I'm not aware of the issue, but there are solutions. I believe that you can set up, you can use the ENS package designer to deploy those out separately. I believe, I'm not an ENS expert on this. I don't know what the deployment options are through VPN, but we will, unless somebody else on the panel has an idea here, we will compile the questions and type up some really good answers and have them made available with the presentation and the video.
Yes. And VPN hasn't really been an issue with deployments. It really is specific to that network and what their controls are around the network and the VPN. So that's a good takeaway that perhaps we could talk to support about that particular environment, but most deployments with the VPN are completely successful. So that could be a good takeaway to work with the engineers or the specialists and get a service request open and see exactly what that might be that's prohibiting that.
I know early on in the ENS deployments we were installing firewall fairly early in the upgrade process, and I know that we've changed that to the very end. So that should be helpful. There are, if you get into the ENS documentation, there are command line options that you can use to force firewall to be the last one installed, and that might get you past those as well. Okay.
But again, your account managers, please reach out to them. They can reach us at any time. We are your help. We are here for you. So the easiest way to reach us as engineers on any level is to reach out to your account managers and let them know that we need to have a conversation.
Okay, and the next question, migration policy. It doesn't remove any current policy, correct? We can continue having systems under VSE 8.8 and ENS, correct? Yes, the answer is yes.
Correct. Yes.
We do not.
Yes.
We do not remove anything, and a system can have both VSE and ENS policies applied to it, regardless of what actual product is installed on it. If you have VSE installed on it, it will use the VSE policy. If you have ENS installed on it, it will use the ENS policy. Okay, we have legacy Win 2003 and 2000 app servers. These show as incompatible and Upgrade Assistant check. What happens with these systems? There was a significant change from Windows 2003 SR1 to 2003 SR2 that changed a lot of the low-level stuff that happens on Windows boxes. And we had to significantly change our kernel drivers to match those. And we were able to get rid of a lot of questionable code that we had to maintain for XP. Unfortunately, at this point, ENS does not support those. I don't expect ENS will ever support those. The company recommends that you use McAfee application control to monitor and to protect those types of systems. I would strongly recommend that you work with your SAM or your sales engineer to determine next steps on that.
And we have legacy solid core that still does whitelisting for 2003. So we do have solutions for you. They're not going to be managed under the new ENS, though, because Microsoft has dropped support on them.
Yeah, and that probably means additional costs in licensing, but again, you'd have to speak to those guys.
So we are at the top of the hour, and we can take the rest of the questions and put answers to them. Ken Howard is one of our developers. I thank you. And Brad Gable is one of our marketing and research, and he has been instrumental and a huge help in helping us put this together for you. 1.3 is available. It's a little different. 1.4 is a little more robust. You will love either one of them. And again, we are here to help you. We are here through your account managers. Just please reach out to them, and if you need any assistance, I wish you a safe and a successful journey into ENS 10.5. You are going to like the new legacy, and the WannaCries and the Petras that are out there aren't going to stand up to us. So have a good rest of the day. I very much appreciate your time and being able to join us on this call and the McAfee journey. And there will be another podcast that will take you into the world of ENS next. Please look for an invite to come. And with that, I will say good afternoon, evening, or morning to all, and have a great day.